What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Life Coach Zach podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Linda Bonnar. Linda, how you doing today?
Oh, Zach, I'm great. It's really good to speak to you. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hop on the podcast today. I am a certified life coach myself, and I love speaking to other life coaches about what are some of the things that they do to support and serve their clients as powerfully as possible. And you've narrowed it down to a science. Very simple. And there's just 3 things that they should be focused on. What are those 3 things?
Okay, Zach, so straight up, it's a lie that there were only 3 things. There are a lot more than that. And this has come back to bite me in the backside quite a bit in the last couple of weeks since the book has come out. But so there are 3 things within a number of things as such. When it comes to that level of mastery and really encouraging people to take action and to become more solution focused in their own lives as well. A lot of it comes down to awareness, helping somebody recognize those patterns of language, patterns of thought, and patterns of behavior that they're continually operating on, identifying how that's working for them. And if it's not working, then what to do differently.
Simple enough. And I love how you led with action based, right? Because we can have all the ideas in the world. We can have all the to-do lists. We can have our calendar highlighted and color coded. But if we're not taking action and we're not executing, all of it's for nothing. And one of the things that I'm working with a client of mine on is think less, do more, right? Because we all assume things and we assume that, this and that. And, when we take more action, we start to learn more about ourselves. So along your journey, becoming a life coach and working with clients and working with corporations, what have you learned is a common theme that everyone can kind of build a foundation of personal growth around?
Oh, this is useful. There's so many, right? But I even hearing your question there, the one thing that I keep coming back to is pressing pause, right? Choosing, and that can be done in so many different ways, and it's so beneficial. And I'm reminded again of what you said in terms of, we're always so focused on doing more. And perhaps if we press pause and allowed ourselves a headspace to just step back, get a different perspective on things, and then we can approach it differently. So responding instead of reacting. Responding from a place of logic and rationale instead of that emotion that can often drive us to maybe say something or do something that we might regret later on.
I like that. Responding instead of reacting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that goes back to the first thing you said about awareness.
Yes.
Right? A lot of us aren't aware that we talk over other people. A lot of us aren't aware that all we do is talk about ourselves when we're in a room full of our friends. Right. And that awareness is so important. Myself, someone who has high energy levels, I love being in conversation. I tend to lead the room that I'm in. And not because I want to lead the room. It's just I enjoy talking and I'm very transparent. But I've been a lot better at biting my tongue. And not biting my tongue for a minute or 2 minutes, for a second. And sometimes biting your tongue for a second allows the client on the other end of the phone to really dive deeper into what he wants to talk about. Or when I'm with a family member, right? I'm with my mother, right? And she finishes her thought and I'm about to respond and I just bite my tongue. We sit there in silence for a couple seconds and then she continues her train of thought and articulating what she was thinking about. So what are your thoughts about that?
I love this. And actually, I don't know about you, Zach, I learned something from everybody that I work with. And I started working with a new client recently, and she has taught me that very thing. I will give space because I've learned that space and silence are so important. And what this person has taught me is that even a little bit more can be even more powerful. And I caught myself even yesterday going to jump in when I thought she was finished. I'm writing some notes and then I look at her face and I say, she's not finished at all. There's still some processing. There's some thinking going on in there. It makes such a difference. Even that couple of seconds, like you said, it's just, and it gives. What I loved most about the conversation was towards the end. I said, thank you so much. I love these conversations. She says, you bring this out of me, Linda. I'm not like this with everyone, And how beautiful is that, Zach, for someone to have that space to share something or things that are on their mind.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And you love hearing the words that gives you more conviction that what you're doing is helping and you are serving and you're bringing value to the table. She is getting so much value from working with you. She's going to continue to work with you. She's going to tell all her friends about you. And that's how you build a business, is you coach your butt off, right? Like you could be the best at Instagram, the best at generating leads, the best at taking all these free discovery calls, but coaching and bringing value to the table is so important. So back to the three things, because your book came out on National Mental Health Day back in
Yes,
October.
yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And you talk about the three things. It's, we need to want to change, we need to know what to change, and we need to know how to change. Now, this is very interesting, because someone who is super aware, and beginner's mindset, humility, I'm not as aware as I can be, but I write everything down, track every minute, track every dollar I spend, I track everything I put into my bot, literally like on my notes. I'm a little OCD about it. I still don't know if I want to change, and I don't know if there's anything that I need to change. And even if there was, I'm not even sure if I'm clear on if I know how to change. So, but I know there are things I can change. So someone like me, what's some of the advice you would give to me right here, right now?
Get a great coach. That'll help you identify what it is that you would love to change. We often don't know. And that's the benefit of coaching. It's such a powerful process. When we're in it ourselves, Zach, you know what it's like. You've just described it so beautifully. I'm not sure, where or what. And so a simple conversation with someone else can broaden our awareness and think, oh my gosh, actually, if I stopped doing that and I started doing that, these are the potential results that await me. And I think I've been on the receiving end of that as a coach. This is what we do for our clients. It's just brilliant. Get a
Amazing.
coach.
Get a coach. Get a coach. I love that advice. So over the last, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years, over the last 3 to 5 years, what is one thing that you learned that changed your perspective on something? Or what's one thing that you learned that is now a new pillar for your life and moving forward?
I've learned this, and I don't know if it's the easy way or the hard way. It's got to work for me. And I do not mean that in a selfish way. I mean that in a very authentic way. If something doesn't feel right, I've stopped forcing myself to lean into it because of what other people say. Chase big money. Don't work with them. Money, money, money. And it's like, hang on a second. I love working with this group of people. Do you ever think it's not about the money, but it's the value and what I get from it myself? So check in with yourself, check in with those three brains, your head, heart, and your gut, and really ask yourself, is this something that I want to do, that I love to do? What value do I bring? And what's in it for me? Because, let's face it, I can't do all this for nothing either.
Right. Wow. I vibe with that so hard,
Thank
because
you.
I go back and forth, like, should I raise my prices and command more money and work with less clients? Obviously, that is how you scale a business, but I didn't become a life coach to make 7 figures. I didn't become a life coach to become a millionaire. No, I became a life coach because it's something that I'm good at. I love listening. I love helping. I love allowing, like, being there for other people, because
Yeah.
it gives me this sense of obligation and responsibility that I have to step into the greatest version of myself. I can't tell someone to wake up at 5 a.m. and meditate for 30 minutes a day if I don't do it myself. So there's a lot of intangibles in our industry that I think are valuable, regardless of the financial value or compensation that we receive. And, I like that you said that, because I've been going back and forth. Should I do this? Should I do this with my prices? Should I work with less people? Should I do that? And, the more I'm starting to learn, and the more that time goes on, and the more I speak to people like you of opinions that I value, I think I'm just going to go with my gut, do what makes me happy.
And you will be happier because of that decision, because it works for you. Something resonates within you and gives you that, yes, this is the right thing for me to do. And value isn't always financial. It's a really powerful lesson that I've learned definitely in the last 2 years. We can be so quick to think, what's my price on this? What's the money that I'm getting in return? When in fact, the relationship that you're building could end up being the most profitable, whether that's emotionally, financially, or whatever. So I think it's looking at value as well in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So when it comes to mental health and self-care,
Mm.
okay, specifically self-care, what are some of your daily self-care tricks or daily self-care non-negotiables?
Oh, well, this is so good as well. I start with gratitude, and I know that's cheesy and everybody's doing it now. And it is something that I used to eye roll at, honestly. And it's one of the most powerful action steps that took me out of feeling sorry for myself, from, playing that victim card and coming to everything from a place of lack to actually look what I have, look at everything that I have to be grateful for. So for me, that's a non-negotiable. Sometimes it always doesn't happen first thing in the morning like I intended to, but I could be out for a run. And that's my second way of really practicing self-care, is my exercise. Whether I walk, I run, or I cycle, and I feel just so much better when I get out as well. The third thing I've got to do, and I'm a work in progress with this, most definitely, Zach, self-compassion. I do my best to sprinkle my day with self-compassion as best as I can. I don't always get it right. Work in progress.
So when you talk about self-compassion,
Mm.
how are you trying to build more self-compassion? And what does self-compassion mean to you?
So for me, self-compassion is that loving kindness, giving myself a break. I can be so hard on myself. I said to one of my own coaches recently, well, she said to me, "You love beating yourself up, Linda. You have mastered this art. You should write a book on that." And I'm like, "Oh, I detect some sarcasm here." And so it's less of the beating up, it's less of the inner critic, and it's more of the checking in with, you know what? That's a decision I made at that time with the information that I had. Right there and then, I was doing my best. Was I at my best self? Honestly, in the greater scheme of things, no. At that moment in time, actually, I was. And that's what I had. And so that self compassion piece has become so important for me. I often need to reflect on it a bit more as well, and journal on it. And I'm getting there with it. It's quite new to me, actually.
And with self compassion, it is kind of the thing that's a practice. You can't succeed at being fully self compassionate, and you can't fail as long as you are trying to be more self compassionate, right? So journaling around it, super amazing. That sense of human commonality, like we're all humans. No one's perfect, right? So that's great. What about when it comes to like physical self-care? You love exercising, right? What does
Mm.
that do for you, and what are some other like physical type things that you like to do?
Oh gosh, what does it not do for me? I think is a better question, and I've leaned into this so much more recently as well. It's interesting because I started running as a way of overcoming an eating disorder, and that to some people sounds really ironic, because a lot of people will start to run or take up a form of exercise as a way to lose weight. But I started running as a way of developing a healthier body and a healthier mindset. And I use it now as a way of practicing my gratitude, understanding my
Mm.
body more, so I feel my body better. So that's also part of my physical self care as well. But I do three things. I do my best to do three things around that every single day. And that's how I speak about my body and to my body, or to myself. I do something every day to adorn my body, whether it's lipstick or nail polish, or I wear something that I like. And then I do my best to fuel my body, not seeing food as good or bad. It's just food. And I use it then, the better food that I put into my body, the better I can perform physically as a runner, just as a coach, and showing up to these awesome conversations with
Great.
fabulous people like you.
Amazing. Yes. And I resonate with that a lot too, because I train for these Ironman races,
Of
and
course.
when I'm training, especially when I'm in the water, I try to be as present as possible. So I stopped wearing my watch, and I just would count each stroke instead of like looking down and being like, "Oh, I'm on lap 30, or I'm at 750 yards." So I try to count each stroke. When I'm running, sometimes when I don't have my ear pods or with me, I scream mindfulness, happiness, health,
Yeah.
success, wealth, and not just saying them, but feeling them, trying
Oh,
to
yes.
feel gratitude, trying to feel appreciation, because you can tell someone you're grateful, you can tell someone you appreciate their friendship, but if you don't act on that and you're not proving it to them, what's the point of saying it?
You've really got to embody it and do your best to step into it like you described. And I think something that's been really helpful for me, especially, if I'm in a tough training session, I ran my last marathon 2 weeks ago. And so it's, gosh, this is starting to get hard. So changing that mindset and I do like a body scan of gratitude. So what is going on in my body right now? And gosh, I'm so grateful for something like, as my running coach says to me, he's like, check in, Linda, what's your body doing? And not just, oh, what's my foot doing? What's my big toe doing right now? I'm grateful to have that big toe on that right foot and the one on the left foot, because otherwise, what would I be doing?
Amazing. Super, super funny that we both do these endurance races. How has it changed your life running marathons?
I've learned so much, and it makes me really emotional when I think about it as well, because I've learned so much about myself, what I'm capable of. I've learned so much more patience, appreciation, gratitude. There was a time a couple of weeks ago where I couldn't run for 4 weeks, or when I'm injured and I can't run and I know it's the worst thing in the world for me. And so I go for a walk and I walk around the park and I get really frustrated when I see other people running. I'm like, I want to be doing that. So I get really bad FOMO. And so then I have to go back to gratitude, right? And it's like, I'm walking, okay? And I get to experience this beautiful park on this gorgeous day. And so it's always helping me to take something that seems insurmountable and break it down into something more manageable. What can I appreciate? What can I learn in this very moment?
Amazing.
Yeah.
It changes lives. I've inspired my clients and people on Instagram to run their first half marathon. And you just got to take that one step, because there's so many more possibilities on the other side.
It's like 10 years ago, I didn't run. And my friends laughed at me when I said I was going to start running. They were like, is there a sale on, Linda, that you're like, are they selling blue eyeliner off somewhere? And I was like, oh, funny girls. Fast forward a couple of years later, and I love having conversations with them now. One of my friends says to me, you inspire me every day, because I knew you back then. I knew when you loved your vodkas and Diet Cokes, and when you loved your menthol cigarettes. And I said, oh gosh, yeah, those were the days. And now it's running, and it's looking after myself in a different way.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. And congratulations to you.
Thank you. And this is still just the beginning for both of us.
Of course.
We're going to be getting better every single day for the rest of our lives. Linda, I want to thank you so much for taking the time again out of your busy schedule to hop on the podcast today. For all the people that are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, head over to lindabonnar.lifecoach.com, LINDABONNAR lifecoach.com. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for sticking around up until now. I'm going to drop the link to her website, her Instagram, and to get her book on Amazon.com. Linda, thank you so much again. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with today?
Oh, do you know what? Go out and have a great conversation with someone who really energizes you. Surround yourself with fantastic people who make you feel good and bring out the best in you, because I just feel awesome after this conversation, Zach.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate that. And I feel better too, right? We just got to be better, be more aware, bite our tongue for an extra half a second, be more mindful when we run, put good foods in our body, and be grateful.
Self-compassion.
Self-compassion. Can't leave out that. Linda, thanks so much. It was a pleasure. Wish you nothing but all the health, wealth, success, and happiness for the rest of the year through the holidays and for 2022.
Oh, and right back at you as well, Zach. Thank you so much for having me today. What a great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Talk soon.
Awesome. Take care, Zach. Bye-bye.